The longest-serving Prime Minister in Israeli history is facing the biggest threat of his career. Will Benjamin Netanyahu be forced to step down? News channels and social media have been buzzing with reports. Just after the 11-day war with Hamas, what has triggered this political churn in Israel? Who is tipped to take Netanyahu's place? Is his exit a done deal? Let's try to understand. I'll start with the basics. Israel follows a parliamentary system of governance. The party with the greatest representation forms the government, and the leader of the winning party is made the prime minister. It sounds fairly simple. But in Israel, it is not. Call it strange or too much democracy, whatever you like, but no single party has ever won a clear majority in Israel's history. They've always had a coalition government. Political groups from various ideologies come together to form a government. But of late, these coalitions have been crumbling. Israel has witnessed 4 elections in 2 years. The last one was held in March 2021, and it produced a hung parliament. The numbers are on your screen. Neither the pro-Netanyahu right-wing bloc nor the ideologically diverse anti-Netanyahu bloc won enough seats to form a government. Out of the 120-odd seats in the Knesset, Netanyahu's party had only 30. This left 3 parties as kingmakers: the Joint List with 6 seats, the United Arab List with 4 seats, and Yamina with 7 seats. The deadline for Netanyahu to win their support was this month. He seems to have failed. Opposition parties are looking to build an alternative coalition and force the Prime Minister out of office. Leading these parties are 2 individuals. The first is the leader of Yamina, Naftali Bennett, an ultra-nationalist politician and a former ally of the Prime Minister. He has joined forces with Yair Lapid, a centrist opposition leader and the chairman of Yesh Atid, the second largest party in the Knesset. The 2 men have invited all political parties, irrespective of their ideology, to form a new and more diverse government of right-wing, centrist and left-wing parties. These parties that will apparently put Israel back on track. That's what they say. Listen to this.
Today I announced that I intend to do everything I can to form a national unity government together with my friend Yair Lapid, so that with God's help, we shall together rescue the state from the turbulence and put Israel back on track.
In a week's time, the state of Israel can have a new era. Suddenly there will be quiet. Ministers will go to work without inciting, lying or trying to instill us with fear all the time.
So where do things currently stand? Will these 2 men be able to unseat Netanyahu? It won't be so easy. It's still a fragile coalition. To form a government, they will need at least 33 more seats. Plus, the numbers would then have to vote in parliament to confirm this coalition. Anything could happen. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is already trying his best to ensure that this new coalition does not succeed. He says this coalition will form a left-wing government that would be a danger to the security of Israel, and that all those who were elected with right-wing votes must not deceive the public by voting in favor of the left wing. Exact words spoken. Watch this.
I call on those who were elected with the right-wing votes. I call on those who have a conscience to not form a left-wing government. Such a government will be a danger to the security of Israel and also a danger for the state's future. If you are from the right wing, you don't vote in favor of the left. And if you vote in favor of a left-wing government, you are not from the right wing. This is the simple truth. Act accordingly. Stand up against the left-wing government, and with God's help, we shall together form a right-wing government for the benefit of all Israelis.
Netanyahu clearly does not want to go without a fight. But how did things get here in the first place? A short answer could be the Israel-Palestine conflict. We just saw the 11-day conflict, 11 days of rocket fire between Gaza and Israel. The war ended on the 21st of May. The Prime Minister appeared to be more likely to hold on to power, but the lawmakers seem to have lost faith in him. They say that he failed in his promise of making peace with the Arab world and dented Israel's global standing. On the other hand, there's Netanyahu's image of invincibility. He's without doubt the greatest political survivor in Israel's history, having served as Prime Minister for a total of 15 years and counting. Of late, he's been testing the limits of his power, though. There are charges of bribery, fraud and breach of trust against him. They range from accepting cigars and bottles of sparkling wine from billionaires in exchange of favor to pushing favorable government policies for companies in exchange of positive press coverage. And to distract attention away from these charges, he's been using foreign policy to shore up support. That's the charge against him. Be it the normalization of ties with the Arab world, or the building of a wall at the border with Lebanon, or the conflict with Gaza, Netanyahu has constantly used foreign policy decisions to keep his support base intact, and the pendulum is slowly swinging in the other direction. The Israeli Prime Minister has been failing to secure a majority, and now his own allies are deserting him, threatening to form a new government. The Prime Minister may or may not survive this coming battle. But if there's one lesson that world leaders can learn from this political crisis, it is that foreign policy cannot always give a leader dividends on domestic issues. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.